telephone to get his bill paid. Well, when Ben came to court, he had proof that he had paid the bill. But you know that old country boy that Tim Wade is, he got to looking at that proof, which was apparently some receipted checks, and he said, I don't know what it is, but there's something wrong about all this. You see, what Ben had done was he had just shown one side of the check. And of course, you know the rest of the story. Janet Kirshner Van Devner issued an investigation on her own initiative. She initiated an investigation to see if that bill had been paid. This was appropriate and proper for Janet to do. And it turned out that Ben had submitted a check, and this was what Tim couldn't figure out. Had submitted a check that was for the Pendleton, let me see if I got this right, it was for the Pendleton County Bank. It was a check as proof in something like 2004. But he had written the proof on a check for the Pendleton Community Bank, which didn't even exist in 2004. So you see, you got to match the front and the back of your checks. Anyway, he ended up getting charged with 5 felonies. Our wonderful legal system in this county that I'm confronted with saw that not really as 5 felonies, forgery and counterfeiting, but reduced them to 2 misdemeanors. And he let Ben out on home confinement, and I'm told he's running around all over the country. Says a lot for our day report, doesn't it? Anyway, to get back to Kathy Beveridge. Kathy Beveridge, the next day after my being put in jail, she admits that she had a personal problem. In other words, she admitted that she was not neutral and detached. And so she asked to not participate in any proceedings. Well, now the problem with that little thing is that she should have had the problem before she found probable cause for the arrest. Now Donna knows, David Janice knows now, if not then, they should have known by then, they know now that this was wrong. That a magistrate must be neutral and detached from the moment they have a hearing. Now I'll tell you one more little thing that you may not have picked up on yet about that day. The day was August 11th. Kathy Beveridge had been on duty in Durban. Janet Kirshner Van Devner had been on duty in the courthouse. Now, when it comes time to get the warrant, they go to Kathy Beveridge. Now, I don't know where they met Kathy Beveridge. Maybe they drove to Durban. I doubt it. I actually heard that Kathy Beveridge had that probable cause hearing out behind the courthouse. That shows you, if that's the case, it shows you how dirty Kathy Beveridge is. And at any rate, what took place was she found probable cause as on a complaint submitted by David Fleming, and somehow David Walton had been ordered to investigate it, and so he got her to sign probable cause. Now we know now why the big hurry. Somehow word had got out, I don't know whether they had my phone tapped or what, but word had got out that I was getting ready the next day to go see my grandson in Seattle, Washington. Linda lives out there. And we had made plans. My wife had made plans with the school system to get off. And when they found out that I was going to make a trip to see my grandchild, David Walton jumped. And they showed up at my house on that same day at 11:30 at night. That's how dirty they are. I'll take a break at this point to check my camera. Thank you. Now the second thing, in an untimely manner. Do I look like a mean guy to you? Do I look like Rambo? I'm no threat to anybody. None other than David Walton. Whenever he went to put the handcuffs on me and to put the leg irons on me. Of course, the truth of the matter was, I think I'm too fat for him to have got some of that stuff around me. The only thing I do have is small arms. But David Walton said, well, we're not going to put the leg irons on because we know you're not going to cause us any trouble. Well, if that's the case, why are there 8 people, 2 chief deputies, the sheriff himself, and on top of that, Robin, who was there, I don't know what her job was. It kind of looks like on the film that it was mainly to keep her hair in place. But Robin was there. And then they had even brought the office secretary to film it. Now, they also brought the processor. Then they brought somebody else, and I haven't yet identified that person. I'm going to ask the taters to identify that person. They let somebody else take pictures. I want to know who that person was. And of course, I want to know if any other, which one of these people had been sworn. And then you know what? To add insult to injury, because they know how I feel about these unsworn sheriff's auxiliary, they had Sherman Robertson come there. Now here's a guy who refuses to take an oath of office. He will not take an oath of office. You have to have an oath of office. And yet he actually accompanied the officer to Taggart's Valley. Why come at 11:30 at night? The law says there must be exigent, that's E-X-I-G-E-N-T, exigent circumstances. Think of as emergency. In other words, it should be that that you come at night if you're scared of the person you're going to arrest. Frankly, I don't think anybody's scared of me. I don't want them to be scared of me, and I'm sorry if you do feel scared of me. I've never threatened a police officer. Oh, one time there was a state policeman who wanted me to leave the cafeteria and was intent on arresting me, and I just went to the floor, and he had to drag me out. I never lift a hand against that boy. I'm not a dangerous or violent person. I'm a pastor of a local church, 30 years a pastor of a local church. I've been a former county commissioner. I taught school to your children for 25 years. I helped found the Tri-Fold Youth Ministry. For 7 years we tried to help the kids of the town of Marlton. I don't think I'm that dangerous. I don't think so. Now the next thing, the search and seizure was not particular. The terminology that's usually used is that they went on a fishing expedition. Well, they were just on a fishing expedition to Norman's place, and I can tell you, I've got a lot of fish in my pool. Man, we've got a lot. I had 4 external hard drives, and some of these were a terabyte in size. I had hundreds and hundreds of thousands of images of the Pocahontas Time, the Marlton Journal, historical books, pictures I'd taken at Pioneer Days, the Fall Festival, road events and so forth. And you know what? When they went through that, they just listed 400, I believe it was, yeah, here it is, it's a listing. They listed that they picked up 474 miscellaneous discs on towers. 474. When I did something very